So Mark, what I'd like to do is have a brief conversation with you about something that we've identified as the Atticus Strategic Pathway.
Yeah.
Now, when you founded the company 20 years ago, this was kind of an unidentifiable process. But after 20 years of experience, it seems like we've identified basically 4 different shifts that we see lawyers go through. And most lawyers want to go from step 1 to step 4, but it doesn't work that way.
Right.
They want to be the market dominant player, they want to be the go-to attorney, but what we learn is kind of like they've got to learn to walk, jog, run, then sprint.
Right.
And so there's 4 different distinctions. What I'd like to do is just take a minute and have you describe each of those steps that you've seen lawyers go through to become a market dominant player. And they've got to go through each step. They just can't go to step 4.
They do. The fascinating thing, though, is that the first step isn't even a step. It's the status quo. Because when we look at the attorneys out there, the vast majority of our clients' competition are really doing what Gerber would call the technician model. They're working long hours, long days, weekends, evenings. They're not getting any time off. They're not getting a vacation. Their days are filled with interruption. They don't have a chance to really be competitive. And they're the ones I think are going to be impacted the most as we move into the future. And so what separates them from what I say is really the first level is what you would call the critical decision, where they make that decision that I'm not just doing a job here, day in, day out, doing it. I'm building a business that does the practice of law. And I'm doing it in such a way that it serves my clients better, it serves my staff better, it serves my life better. So the first step is that critical decision, and then they step into the business owner role.
It's interesting because it's like they shift from a practice that's a default practice to a design practice.
It's totally unconscious. They have no idea that they're even doing it. They're just doing it. Listen, I didn't go into the practice of law to become a marketer. I didn't go into the practice of law to be a human resource director.
A manager.
I just wanted to practice law, which is fine, as long as you're going to be an associate or a contract lawyer. But as soon as they put their shingle out there as a shareholder, an owner, or sign that partnership agreement, they take on this role, and they have to make that critical decision. So once they're owner, what does that mean? That means that we have to start having the fundamental systems in place. So fundamental systems: staffing, cash flow, marketing, time management. And when they have those in place, they can start to take control of the practice. And take control of the practice means they capture their weekends back, they capture their evenings back, they become much better, they become much more focused on marketing, and they become better at client selection. So those are the sort of things we want to look at the first level. And if you don't have that, you won't have a competitive advantage moving forward.
So it's like shift number 1 is they go from a practice by default to a practice by design.
Conscious, yes.
A conscious decision, and we call it the critical decision. And then they have to start to master the 4 core concepts,
Yes.
which are cash flow,
Yes.
marketing,
Yes.
staffing, and
Time management.
time management.
Yeah, and so those are the fundamentals. It's like block and tackle in any sport, and you have to get those down before you can play in a more advanced game. If you don't get those down, you don't even get in the game.
Yeah, and it's interesting because when you grow a practice, you really need 2 things: time and money.
Yeah.
And most lawyers have an abundance of both, right?
Yeah.
They have plenty of time, plenty of cash.
Yeah, no.
No.
And
I mean,
so you're
to
right.
go to the next level, they got to shift. They got to learn how to do the time management. They got to learn how to improve their cash. They got to learn how to select clients.
Right.
They got to learn how to manage better. If for our purposes, when they go from a status quo player to a business owner,
Yes.
and it may take a year, it may take a couple of years to
Yes.
work through that.
Yes.
What's the next level beyond that? What's level 3 in
So
your eyes?
once you've got that, the fun really starts. Because now you can start playing an advanced game. You can start playing with other attorneys at your level. You can start playing a game where, how do I double my revenues? How do I increase my revenue significantly? How do I get significant more time off so the practice isn't dependent on me? And so the next level really starts to become market leader. Somebody that starts to master their practice, and they can demonstrate to the outside world that they're in control. So as we said, they're taking far more time off. They're in control of the revenues coming in. They've got more clients knocking on the door predictably. And they're working with peers that are challenging them, pushing them forward, and pulling out their best game.
It's interesting because usually most lawyers open up their practice not because they want to make money, but they want autonomy.
Yeah.
And so level 1, they kind of get enslaved by the practice.
Yeah.
Level 2, they try and figure out how to unshackle it.
Yeah.
Now, level 3 is where we really see them become more of a player in the marketplace.
Yep.
And they start to have a lot more freedom.
Yep. And innovation. They start making innovations that their peers haven't even thought about yet. So we have people like Lonnie Balby that have created the matrimonial assessment. He doesn't even do consultations anymore, just a matrimonial assessment. He does 5, 6 a week. It's brilliant. So these are the sort of things that come up at that next level. It's an advanced level. It's not for every attorney. First fundamentals, get those down, block and tackle. Now we can play an advanced game. And then so the next question is, what's next?
No, what's next?
And I think that what next is something that you're brilliant at, and a lot of your clients have. You're working with some of the top producers in the country, and that is, how do we dominate the market? How do we be the go-to attorney in our marketplace? Those are the sort of things. So you start questioning, what does it take to dominate that market?
And it's interesting because 10 of my clients are without hesitation known nationally for their specialty. So the question is, what has to occur for them to become the dominant player in their marketplace? Yeah. So what are some of the criteria that you see for someone that dominates their market?
Well, they're the name recognition. Everyone knows their name. Their branding is impeccable. People turn to them automatically. And they've also done all those other things at the other levels. They've got a great system. They're taking significant time off. The practice is not dependent on them to be there every single day. They built a business, a system, and now they've dominated their market. So I think those are the major things. So when you look at this, we start with the vast majority of the attorneys that are out there. We make that critical decision that you've talked so highly about. We've become business owners, and we put in the fundamentals, the block and tackle, which most people think they have. They don't.
They don't.
And then we move to the next level, where we start becoming a market leader. We start working together with people that will challenge us and hold us. And then finally, we step up to a place where we can dominate the market.
And just own the marketplace.
Yeah.
So thanks. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the walk through the strategic pathway. Thank you.